Good evening, everyone. I would like to warmly welcome you all to this monastery, which is in Gaul, as you know. Now, I'm going to start like this. Now, we are going to have a discussion about the Buddhist philosophy and what Buddhism actually is. So, I'll be doing a bit of a one-sided lecture for like a few moments, and then you can ask questions if you have. Firstly, to talk about Buddhism, to talk about what Buddhism is, I need to talk about human life. Okay? To know about human life, about Buddhism, you need to understand. Now, when a normal person is born into this world, firstly, what happens is now for that person, he is given a name, some sort of a name. For me, before I became a monk, there was a name for me as well, which is called Kasun. I was called Kasun. So after I was given a name, what happens is now my parents, they educate me on society, how things are, which country I'm from. Then after my parents, I go on to schools and society. I was taught about the society, about the world, by the society that I associate with. We always try to strive ourselves to achieve pleasures in our life. We always do certain things to achieve pleasure, to be happy in life. So that is the main purpose of someone who is going through life, to achieve happiness. So in search of happiness, people do lots of different things. Firstly, they educate themselves by going to schools in order to become happy in their life. Then they go on to have relationships in order to become happy in life. Then they go on to have jobs. Then they go on to have kids eventually. They get themselves married in search of happiness. But the problem is, when you go search of happiness, to the extent that you're going to search for it, you will reserve pain as well. That is the truth in life. So, the practice of Buddhism, the philosophy of Buddhism exists to approach this mental suffocation of a human mind. So you and every one of us, we associate with a mind. We are using a mind to live a life. So when you are using a mind, the first thing that you need to understand is how the mind works. Now, from our childhood, we were not taught on how to understand our own human mind. We were given lessons by the society, by our parents, by our teachers, how to achieve targets on the outside world, how to become a better person in the outside world. For an example, you were taught how to pass an exam by learning things, and like going to schools and stuff, passing exams, you are trained to achieve things from the outside world. But you were not taught on how to become happy. You were always given a target, be happy by these materialistic things. When you earn more money, they say that you will be happy. But in reality, even now, even at this very moment, there are people all around the world who are suffering from mental pressure. In some parts of the world, there are people who are using drugs to overcome their mental pressure, even in this moment. There are people who's going to religious places because they want to overcome their mental pressure, depression and stress. Some parts in the world, there are people who do meditation. The reason why they do all those things is to overcome their mental pressure and mental suffocation. So some parts in the world, people go on to have jobs, to earn money. The reason for that is to overcome their mental pressure and mental suffocation. So the philosophy of Buddhism, the practice of Buddhism comes into play in that part. Philosophy of Buddhism is about understanding your own mind. It is not about anything else. It is about understanding your own mind, how it works. Why do you feel suffering inside your mind? That is the main reason why Buddhism exists. Buddhism is not actually a religion. Buddhism is a way of life. Buddhism teaches an art of living, where you live by understanding your own mind. So in Buddhism, as you all know, there's a practice called meditation. So this place is also a meditation center, so I'll explain a little bit about meditation. Okay. Now, meditation is mostly at two parts. There are major two parts in meditation. All right. There are two major practices which has been doing in meditation. So firstly, most of the people who do meditation do the stillness meditation. So how you do stillness meditation is you sit on a place which is a quiet place and you put your hand above the other, or else it doesn't matter much. You close your eyes and you concentrate your mind into a certain point. Maybe it can be your breathing. Some people, they used to concentrate their mind on how to breathe. Maybe they inhale, exhale. They concentrate their mind on breathing. Or they can concentrate your mind on some sound that they hear. Maybe a fan of the sound of the fan, something like that. Concentration, maybe on a sound that they hear, maybe on the breath that they take, or maybe on a thought that they have. So they concentrate their mind onto a certain point. So that is stillness meditation. If you practice stillness meditation to some extent, you have to be very consistent about it. When you do that practice for some extent, you will achieve a very peaceful and blissful state of mind. When you do stillness meditation, you will eventually become a blissful person. But there's a big problem with this concentration meditation. The problem is, now when you go back to society, when you're sitting and doing the seated meditation, it is blissful. But when you get up from this meditation and when you go back to the society, when you go back to your job, when you go back to live your ordinary life, what happens? You will feel the same pressure that you felt before. Once you feel the pressure again, what you do is you need to find another place which is quiet and do seated meditation again to concentrate your mind on a point. So that is stillness meditation. But what we try to practice here in this center is not stillness meditation. What we try to preach to you, what I'm trying to teach you today is called Vipassana. In Vipassana meditation, we don't try to concentrate our mind on any given point. What we do is, we try to understand how our mind works. So that is what we do here. We are trying to understand how the mind works. We are trying to understand why our minds get angry, why my mind is unsettled all the time. So we are trying to understand how that process works. So I'll give you like a little hint to start on how this mind works. So let's, for an example, say, now we are agreeing upon a time to meet up. Let's say you and I, we agreed upon a time and a place to meet up. Let's say 4 o'clock at Galle. Now, you are there at 4 o'clock at Galle, but I'm not there. Okay, now it's 4 o'clock, we agreed upon a time. Now, I'm here, the other person is not. So time goes on, like now it is 4:15. Now, still the other person is not there. Now I'm thinking, now we agreed upon a time, why can't this person be on time? Why can't he be punctual? Why can't he adjust to what we agreed upon? So now time goes on, 4:30, 4:50. Now this person is still not there. Now you're getting angry. You're angry now from within you. You're feeling the burning sensation within you because now we agreed upon a time. Now this person is not here. Why is he not here? So that is a normal reaction of every human being. So what we try to understand is, in reality, did we get angry because of that person did not come at the agreed upon time? Or are we getting angry because we had that expectation that this person should come at the time that we agreed? So in every given scenario in our life, where you feel pressure, where you feel that you are in an uneasy situation, where you are angry, is always because of an expectation that which did not come true for your life. When you're living your life, what you saw in other people is that you always expect something from another person. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just explaining how the world is. Having expectations is not a bad thing, but the problem arises when you have a deep attachment towards the expectation that you have. Now let's say, for an example, when I go to a restaurant, I ordered a tea. Okay. Now in my mind, I have an expectation. Now tea should be in a certain way. The tea that I'm having should be in a certain way. Okay. Now the tea that I'm having, now when the tea is served, the tea that I receive is not the same one that I expected to drink. So now you are a bit upset. The reason that you are upset is not because of the tea was not to your expectation, but because you have an expectation that tea should be in a certain way. So that is the reason why actually you are upset, not because of the tea was made in a different way. So it is okay to have expectations. The problem comes with your attachment towards the expectation that you have. Now, when there are people, even in a relationship, when you have too much expectations from the other party, then the problems start to rise. Think about your own experiences where you felt unsettled in your life. Every moment in your life where you felt angry, where you felt that you are at an uneasy situation, is it because you always try to point your finger at the outside world? You always try to point your finger towards someone else. I am angry because of you. I am angry because of the government. I'm angry because of my wife, my husband. I'm angry because of my parents. No. In reality, you are angry, you are upset, not because of some other person. It is because of your own way of thinking. Now, when you understand this sensation, when you understand how the mind works, you will automatically become a blissful, peaceful person. So, the core of Buddhism exists to understand how your mind works. To understand your mind, to understand how it works, Buddhism gives you lots of different aspects of your mind. Like I said, I told you one thing, it is about expectations. Now it is okay to have Now I'm not asking you to live without expectation. You should have expectations. You should have dreams. The problem comes with the deep attachment towards the expectations that you have.
How do you become aware of your deep attachment?
Okay, it is like this.
Expectations.
Yeah. It is like this. Now, how to understand your deep attachment? It is like this. Now, when you're living a normal life, when you're living your ordinary life, what happens is, now let's say, let's take the example that I took of the tea. Okay. Now, when I'm given a tea which is not to my expectation, I feel upset, I feel angry. Then only you will realize, now I have a deep attachment towards something. Now let's say I'm given a tea, any kind of tea, without sugar, with sugar, more sugar. I don't feel much of an anger. So therefore I don't have an attachment, deep attachment towards the expectation, towards the outcome of that process. So when you are angry, when you are upset, then only you will know that you had a deep attachment towards something. For an example, when your kid does something, if you're offended by it, if you're angry about it, it means that you are deeply attached to the things that he should not do and he should do. Now, it is okay to have some kind of an idea. Now, these kids should not do these things. They should do these things. But when you attach yourself, he should behave. He should be this person. Now, you are the one who's going to be stressed out the most, not your kid.
I guess I understand, but I don't understand how to detach yourself.
In reality, now, let's say, I'm not asking you to detach yourself. You cannot detach yourself from anything. Now, You cannot give up the expectation. You cannot give up the attachment. You only understand that you are attached. You only understand when you are attached too much to certain thing, you feel pressure. You are the one who's upset about it. When you understand this sensation through and through, you don't need to detach yourself. The detachment will happen automatically. When you understand why you are angry, why you are upset, then and there you will detach yourself without even you knowing. When you understand, I am the one who's creating these thoughts. I'm the one who's attached to my own thoughts. And the attachment towards my own thoughts are the ones that is making me suffer. You will let go of that then and there without you even knowing. It's like this. Now, if I give you a piece of paper, okay, I will give you a piece of paper and I will ask you to draw a devil, a demon. Okay, I will ask you to draw a demon. And then I will ask you to paint the demon. You are the one who's now painting the demon as well. You draw the devil, you draw the demon, and now you're painting the demon. And then I'm asking you to look at the piece of paper and be frightened from it. Can you be frightened from the piece of paper that you actually drew? No. That is the exact same thing which is happening in your own mind. You are the one who's having a frame. Now tea should be in a certain way. Now, if that tea does not match your expectation, you are the one who's getting angry, not because of the tea was made in a different way, but because you had an expectation which you only created, which on your own you created that expectation. You are the one who had the frame. Now, tea should be in a certain way. Now, what you do because of your ignorance, because of the thing that you cannot understand, you become angry, you blame others. You are the one in distress. Because of the own picture that you drew. You are the one who painted the picture as well, and now you are attached to the painting that you made. Now you are angry.
So, I understand what you're saying in the context of a cup of tea. Tea is a very minimal thing.
Yeah.
What happens when it's on a much deeper level? Let's say someone's behavior is really, what they've done is something detrimental to the framework of just being good to all people.
Right.
How would you process that so that you're not attached to the behavior you would expect from another human being?
Okay. Now, it's like this. Now, I took the example of tea for you to understand the concept. But in reality, when you go on to life, the same principle that which I took to tea applies everywhere you go. Now, let's say when you're in society, there's a person who's behaving in a bad way. There are two things you can do. Firstly, you can either correct the person, okay, if it is a possibility. If it is to the other person, if you can talk with that person, if he can understand what you're saying, you can tell that person, okay, don't do like that. Be in a different way, because the society does not expect you to do these things. Okay. If he doesn't listen to you and he's still doing the thing, then you can go to another step and shout at him, something like that. So when you're dealing in society, you can take proportionary action. If he doesn't do that, maybe you can go to the police. There's law towards those things. Buddhism is actually a teaching to understand your own mind, like I said before. Now, if a person comes and do a bad thing, if you are angry about it, if you are pressured in your mind about it, it is not because of that person who's committing a bad act outside. It is because of your own mind. You're thinking people should not behave this way. So if you want to discipline that man, there are ways that which has been created by the society. You can do those things. But if you're unhappy, if you're suffering from the incident that which is done by that person, you are the one who has created a demon. Like I said before, you are the one who has drawn the devil and painted, and now you're suffering from it. In the very moment where good has been created in this world, the bad comes with it. You cannot take away bad from this world. The moment you pinpoint helping others as good, destroying others eventually become bad. You cannot have one side of the paper. There's always two sides of the coin. You cannot get rid of bad forever. When you get rid of bad, you let go of the good as well. So, if you're hoping the world should behave in a good manner, that will never happen. Because in your mind, what is good, as you said, this is good, the opposite of it, it also exists. The bad is also there. So what you can do is, if someone does a bad deed right in front of you, maybe you can talk to them and you can correct them. Or if they don't listen to you, if they do keep doing that, like I said before, you can call upon the law or something. If you are unable to do any of those things, the other side of it is, if you're pressured, if you're like stressed out because of a person, it is not because of that person, it is because of your own way of thinking.
So let's take it more personal.
Huh?
This person is a family member,
Okay.
and you have your own ideas of how people should behave or not. And so where do you draw the line in telling people how to behave and live their lives, which is they have their own freedom to do that. And the moment I realized that I created a discomfort because I'm expecting something from somebody else, then I can become also aware, but I don't think the awareness alone will be just enough to make the discomfort disappear. And I'm saying it because I have tried that.
Okay. Give me an example.
My job is to tell people how to behave, to start with.
Right.
We all disagree on certain things, and I understand that there's good and bad in life, and we need to learn to live with both, right?
Yeah.
But my job is not to change other people.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But I'm aware of the things that bother me. It's just not enough, at least for me, it's just not enough to make them disappear.
Okay, now it's like this. Now, as you said, my job is not to correct other people. Okay? My job is to correct myself. Okay? To understand my own mind. But if there is a person, now let's say, like you said, there's a family member. Let's take a kid of yours or someone. Okay? Now, if that person behaves in a bad way, in a mischievous way, then compared to the society, if you compare it to the society, it differs from one another country, what is good and what is bad, what is mischievous and what is not. It differs from the perspective of the parents. It differs from the perspective of each person, what is good and what is bad. Okay? Now, if there's a person, now if you can tell this person, okay, be in this way, behave this way, it is good to society, you can tell that, no problem. It is not necessary to tell to other person, okay, do this, do that. It is not necessary. But the problem comes when you are upset. Now, the thing you said is, firstly, now, awareness alone cannot make your anger disappear, right? That is what you said.
Yes.
But awareness will be enough. That is all you need to get rid of your disappointments and everything which is wrong in your own mind. That is, I'm sure about. If you're unhappy about something, it is always because of the way that you're thinking. Now, if you can understand the way that you think is wrong, not wrong actually, if you understand it, how you think makes me unhappy, you will be in a blissful place at the very given moment. Yes.
So I'm just curious, how long would you say it has taken you to reach this level of awareness?
Okay, now I have been in this practice for like 6 years now, but I would not say now I'm I haven't fully understand my mind. I still have some problems within it, but we have a teacher here. He's in New Zealand. He normally does this discussion with people. Now he's in New Zealand. That is why I'm doing this. So I believe that my teacher is a person who understood his mind. Not I believe, I know it to be true. that he is someone who has understood the mind through and through, 100%. So I'm his student. So I would say now I have understood my mind to a certain extent. It has taken like 6 years of research about my own mind.
And what is the significance of the orange color for the world?
There's not like much of a significance in it. It's just the color. There's a range of colors which has been chosen by the Buddhist culture, where you can wear any robe. There's a range of colors you can choose from it. Yeah.
Could you tell me if I'm doing this right? Because like whenever I come on a trip like this, I never have any expectations, and I found that I'm happier at the end of the trip if I have no expectations, because the people that come expecting something are usually not upset, but they're just disappointed.
Yeah.
You know? Am I doing that right?
Yeah, but the thing is this. Now, I'm a person who has expectations. Okay? Every one of us have an idea before we go someplace. We have an idea. We have normal expectations. You also had some expectations. But what you're trying to say is you are not attached to those expectations as much as people. Now, when you're going to a place, your mind, the purpose of your mind is imagination, to imagine things. You imagine certain things to be in a certain way. But in reality, those things will not happen the way you expect. There's always some things which will not go according to your wishes. So if you have a hard and fast expectation, okay, this trip should be this way, it should make me happy, it should be like so many things you expect, but those won't come true. At the end of the day, a person without a deep attachment towards his expectations will live happily. As you said, now some people go on trips with so many expectations. Deep attachment towards those expectations, okay, when we go to this place, when you go to this country, it should be something like this. It is the same example that I took. He's the one who's drawing the demon. He's the one who's coloring the demon as well. He's the one who's getting upset. He's the one who's disappointed with his own creation. But he blames the outside world. He blames so many people. He blames the company that they took in. He blames the country. He blames the people, everyone. But he's the one who's upset. He's the one who's suffering. Not because of that person, because of the way of his thinking. Yes.
I have a question. So I understand you have the expectations and it's your thinking that is the issue. How do you go about changing your thinking so that you're not pressured?
Change your thinking.
Yeah, so once I've acknowledged that, okay, I guess for example with tea, I had an expectation of tea. I realized that it's my expectation not being met. That's the source of the
Pressure, yes.
So what do I do then?
Okay, now what you do is, yeah.
I'm not sure what I do next.
Okay. I understand. So what you do is, you understand, you observe. That is what you do. You don't do anything else. The example of tea, which I took, when you're upset with tea, you will realize, okay, I am the one who's created this frame. I'm the one who's living in this frame. I am the one who's upset with this frame. Okay, at that moment you will realize, okay, I shouldn't be in this frame of mind, because that is why I'm upset. When that same incident happens to your life, when you go on your life, you will find more places where you are upset, where you're pressured, where you're angry with people. When these times comes on in your life, you will suddenly like click, you will get a hint from your mind that what I told you, now your expectations, your deep attachment towards those expectations is why I am suffering. So when that incident happened 2-4 times in your life, when you go on, your thinking pattern will change automatically. That which has happened to me, I know from my own experience. When you get the understanding why you're pressured, why you're angry, why you're upset at certain times in your life, if you understand it because of your own expectations, because of your attachment towards some frames that you have in your mind, not only for he, but for people as well. Now, let's say, for an example, you saw one person and you're judging that person by the very first impression. You're thinking, okay, now this person may be a cunning person. Now, even if he sits, you're thinking, okay, he's about to do something. If he stands up, you're thinking, okay, he's about to do something cunning. If he walks, you will think the same thing. If he talks with someone else, you're thinking, okay, they are trying to come up with a plan to do something bad for me. That is not, we don't know for sure what he's doing. But the problem is you're the one who's thinking, now he's a cunning person. Now you don't really understand that you are the one who's created this picture. It is okay to judge a person by the first impression, but be aware about how you think about people. I also have judgments about people, but I'm not like, when I saw someone, if he's a liar, I quit. In my experience, these kind of people, they lie to people. But I am not in the 100% state of mind, okay, he is a liar. He might be a person who changes in the very next moment. We don't know. The simple state, we don't know. But there are people, not only for other people, everything that they see in their life, for the cup of water, for their phone, for the way they're sitting, the way they're walking, everything, they have a frame. If you breaks out of it, you are angry, you are upset. I have watched some news on US lately. I saw there's a problem with younger kids. Now there's a big problem with gender. There are people who's coming out and saying, okay, I identify as a woman from the next day on. I think it's an issue, right? Do you know about this now? There's a problem.
Can you repeat the last part?
You know that LGBT something?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, LGBTQ. So now, are they really wrong? No, it is the way they think. It is the way that they identify as. So the people who are blaming them, are they wrong? No. It is their own perspective. So who's right? Who's wrong? We cannot say. We don't know. For them, it is true. The way that we see the world is not the way that they see the world. So who's right, who's wrong, we don't know. So for our volunteer here, not the volunteer, this couch surfer, he's from Canada, that person over there. Now he said something interesting to me. Okay? He said, back in his country, his parents does not miss him much. Okay? Now in Sri Lanka, in the southern Asian province, it is the total opposite of that. The parents in Southeast Asia, they always want to live with their kids. If their kid is not around, they miss them really much. They want to live together. Every siblings, every sister, brother, everyone, they want to live together. If your kid is not with you, they are upset. They think, where are you? Come back home. But in another part of the country, now in another part of the world, in Canada, it is the total opposite. The parents does not want to live with their kids. Kids can do whatever they want. So who's right? Who's wrong? We don't know. We cannot say. Because of people in Canada, that is true to them. For people in Southeast Asia, that is true for them as well. So how can we judge someone of being true and being wrong? We cannot. So as for the question that you asked, when you understand this concept, there's nothing more to do. The awareness, like I said to him, awareness alone will be enough for when you come up with a problem, when you're aware about it, when you're aware about how your mind works, when you're aware about how the attachment, the expectation, how it works, you will be in a blissful place. Yes.
So I understand in terms of what you're saying about attachment. Attachment comes from desires,
Yes.
and desires are born from the senses. So what is the Buddhist view on either overcoming those desires or suppressing those desires?
No.
So
You don't overcome, you don't suppress, you understand. That is the only approach that Buddhism teaches. You cannot suppress your desires. That doesn't work. You cannot overcome them without knowing. You have to understand the desires that you have. The problem arises when you're upset, when you're stressed out, when you're depressed. The cause of your depression is desire. When you understand this concept, when you understand why you're stressed out, your understanding will be enough to overcome that.
I don't know, maybe I flunked the last part of your speech, but the part when you said like about LGBTQ,
Yeah.
well, who's right? Well, who's wrong? Well, to me, this non-person, bigotry and hatred is always wrong. I don't care what you color, what you believe. It is wrong to be that way to other people. Or I can understand it's. Isn't this why there's always wars and there's always hatred and there's always shootings? Because people, well, I live in San Antonio, okay, so it's a high crime rate. They can have a party and some guy was talking to some other girl and the boyfriend thinks whatever, takes out a gun and shoots, okay? You mean who was right and who was wrong? Well, it's very easy to see. Yes, that's his expectation, his thought. But maybe I misunderstood that part, but I don't think there's ever an excuse for bigotry.
Yeah. You're true. You're true. What you said is right. I'm talking about your own mind. Okay? When you put this concept to the outside world, where you put this to the society behaves, acts in a different way. Okay? Now, in society, you cannot say who's right, who's wrong. There's right and wrong in society. Okay? There is punishment for bad deeds in society. You will get, there's laws, there's police and everything, prisons and everything is there. What I taught you is about understanding your mind. When you when you do something bad, according to the society that you live in, that is bad. You should not do that. But if you're like angry of some person who has done this bad deed, that is not because of that person that your anger comes out. It is because of your own way of thinking. I'm talking to your mind. I'm talking to your mind saying, now you cannot decide actually who's right and who's wrong. If that person believes he's wrong, will he do that?
No.
No. For that person, it is true to him. So that is why he does that. If he thinks now what I'm doing is wrong, will he ever do that? No. So for him, it is true. We cannot decide whether he is wrong or he's right. According to society, there are laws and everything that which has been created, good, bad, everything there is in the society. So according to society, things will happen. If you do something bad in the society, which is ruled as a punishment, then he will get punishment. So that is there. But the way of thinking is something else. If there's a person who commits murder, if you're angry and if you're trying to get revenge on that person, so does that affect your mind? Yes, it does. You're the one who's seeking revenge. So that is not good. So when you change the way you own your thinking, when you understand why you're feeling this kind of burning sensation, you will automatically understand the cause of your stress. When it comes to society, it happens in a certain way. You cannot say to the other person that you may be right, you may be wrong, but according to society, if you do something wrong, you will be punished. So that is how it works.
So what is your average day like?
Our average day like is this now. We wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. At 4:30, we have a chanting session. And then at after 4:30, we do some cleaning here and there. And at 6:30, we have breakfast. So after that, in a normal day, what we do is we work in the premises. We have lots of work to do in the premises. So after that, in the afternoon as well, we have at 6:30 a chanting session. And after that, we have, sometimes we do discussions like this. Sometimes we do meditation. And then some people can listen to some discussions that was done previously by a TV or some sort of way. Or else they can read a book. And after that, the day ends. That is the normal routine. We have started a campus here. As you can see here, IUHS campus. Now, in that campus as well, we educate students on IT, which is freely done without any cost for them. The education, the food, the medicine, the accommodations, everything is free for them. So there are like 150 students who's living with us. So in that sense, we have work to do in the daytime. Yeah.
So I have a question, or to clarify it in my own mind. So twice on this trip before I've heard.
Sorry?
Twice on this trip,
Okay.
I've heard that Buddhism is a philosophy, not a religion. I've always thought it was a religion, so that was a moment of awareness for me. What I'm confused by, when we've gone to the temples, I would see people
Worship.
bringing flowers and doing what looks to me like praying
Yeah.
to Buddha. But Buddha was a person, not a deity.
Yeah.
So is it that some people consider it a religion? And some people consider it more
Yeah.
of a philosophy?
Yes, what you said is true actually. Now, for an example, have you played Secret Train when you were kids? Where you whisper something to one's ear and then that message goes around. Yeah. So the same thing happened in Buddhism, not only in Buddhism, in every culture, every religion. So like 2,600 years ago, Buddha lived. Now he understood this message that I was talking about, understanding the mind. When you understand your mind to the fullest, you are an enlightened person. You are liberated from your own mind. That which has been understood by Gautama 2,600 years ago. Now after his demise, this message was passed down. When it got passed down, at certain points where there were wars and some kings did some things to evolve this message. And when time goes on, it has become a religion. Now there are people who worship Buddha. There are people who go worship trees. Now, in every temple you go, you will see a tree called Bodhi tree, which represents where Buddha got enlightened. So people go to these trees and they worship these trees as well. They worship trees, they worship pagodas, they worship statues, they do all those things. Now, that is not a bad thing. So sometimes when people worship these statues, they're thinking, okay, please help me overcome this suffocation that I'm having. They're praying. Actually, they are worshipping, they are praying for a higher power to get their problems away from themselves. For them, it is good. But there are some people who can have the understanding that this is not actually about worshiping, this is actually about understanding your own mind. That this is not actually a religion, this is a philosophy. Not a philosophy, actually it's a way of life. It is a way of thinking. So what you said is true. Some people believe it as a religion and they worship. They do chantings, everything that they do those things. That is not a bad thing. Yes?
So I have a question about meditation, and you're obviously an expert at that,
Okay.
aren't you? Or
Okay, you can say that. Yeah.
but I guess what my question is in America, we've all tried, or most of us have tried meditation at one time or another, but we're either really, really busy or we just don't have the patience to do it. So, and then the other, so I don't know if you have a suggestion on that. And then my other question is, supposedly the books that I've read on meditation are supposed to clear your mind but it's so hard to clear your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always thinking about what happened. Well, not so much now that I'm retired, but when I was working, I was thinking about what I was doing during the day or why something happened. Do you have any suggestions on how a person can clear their mind?
Okay.
Or is that too hard? Is that too hard of a question?
No. It's not a hard question. Now it is like this. Now, as I explained before, there are two types of meditation. Okay. One is where you sit down in a quiet place. You try to forget everything which has happened. You try to forget everything that is about to happen. You try to concentrate your mind in a certain thought. Mostly commonly used is breathing. Okay? Most commonly you like close your eyes and you like exhale, inhale. You try to concentrate your mind on that point. So that is the more common practice. Now when you do that, you will realize now you cannot really put your mind to this concentration because all of these thoughts coming in. You cannot really clear your mind because everything is coming in. Like you said before, if you're a working person, so many things will come into your mind. So how do you clear your mind? You really cannot clear your mind. What you can do is when you're doing stillness meditation, something comes in, you have to be really aware and like let it go. So that is how you do stillness meditation. But what I taught you afterwards, the second method, vipassana. To do vipassana, you don't have to be seated. At this very moment, I am doing vipassana. You don't have to be in some place. You don't have to like sit down and do that meditation. While you are at the busiest moment in your life, you can do vipassana. When you're the busiest person in your job, at the busiest hour, you can do vipassana. How you can do that is you can understand your mind. You're aware about your mind. You're aware about, okay, things are happening in your mind. When you get angry, when you feel you're lazy, when you feel you're anxious, when you feel jealousy, you're aware about all those things. So to do that, you don't need to like sit on some place. Awareness and being aware, trying to understand how your mind works, that is vipassana. That you can do in any place that you go. So when you like being aware about your mind, that which we call as a clear mind. Clear mind is not something that without any thoughts. The clear mind is when you understand everything which is happening. That is a clear mind. There is a mind that cannot make you stressed out. There is a mind that cannot make you depressed because you understand how it works. You understand how the expectations are coming in, it's going out. When it's starting to build up pressure, you understand everything. So that which we call a clear mind.
I have two questions. They're related. Why do monks shave their heads? And is the process or daily routine the same for female and male monks?
Okay. Now, why do we shave our heads? It is like this. Now, as you know, Buddha is a person who came from the royalty. He's a prince of the royal family. Now, back in this time, royalties were people who grew their hair. 2,600 years back in India, the royalty, they grew their hair to symbolize that you have left that life, to symbolize that you are no longer a person who drives to achieve ordinary things like kingdoms and land and stuff like that, to symbolize that you are a person who's detached from seeking those things and someone who's trying to understand the mind and go on a spiritual path. That is why he cut his hair, and that is why he told his disciples to shave their heads as well. So that is how it started. So for the male and female monks who lives here, the daily routine is the same. For them as well, they wake up at 4, chantings and breakfast. The table, the schedule is the same, but we live in different areas in the monastery. Yeah?
It's not a question. I just wanted to say that you're so interesting to listen to. I could just keep sitting there.
Okay, thank you. It's like this now. We are all like living with a mind. We all accumulate with a mind. When, from the time of our birth, when the moment that we are given birth, up until now, we use a mind to do certain things. Everything that we do it using a mind. Now, we have given the least amount of time to understand the mechanism of it. We have not given any of our time in our life. We have given so much time to doing other things in our life. For me, I have given like 20 years in school to understand science, IT, mathematics, everything. But then I understood, okay, is this what I should be really doing? When I look around my world, when I look around my parents and my family, society, what I saw was, even though they have money, even though they have everything that they want in normal, ordinary life, they lack something. They lack happiness. They have everything that they want. They are travelers. They are going everywhere. But a certain moment is enough. One incident is enough to make them unsatisfied. One incident is enough to make them unhappy. Like for an example, my parents were like educated people. They had money and everything that they wanted. But the moment that I decided to become a monk, their world collapsed. Not because of my decision, but because of their expectations. They had so many expectations towards me now for me becoming a person that they wanted. So at that moment also, I understood, okay, living a life like that is not the way to live. To understand this message, you don't have to become a monk. The only necessity is for you to be aware about your mind. When you are aware, when you understand how this mind works, when you understand this mechanism, you will be a person who will not be shaken by anything happening in this world and around you. You will live in a bliss that no one can shake you off. You will be so peaceful that even like in the Nero story, he was playing the violin when the Rome was burning. You will be in a state like that. You will be in a state where anything can happen around you. You won't feel pressure. You won't feel sadness within you because you will be a person who understands your own mind. When you understand your mind, you will understand that the mind is the one who makes you anxiety. The mind is the only thing that makes you unhappy. Not because of anyone else, because of your own way of thinking. Yes.
Once you become a monk, do you have to be a monk forever, or can you go back to?
Yeah, you can go back. You can go back to your life. It is not a...
At any time?
At any time.
Are your parents okay with you now?
Yeah, I think so. It is not up to me. Yeah. They were okay in the beginning as well, but you know that they have expectations towards their loved ones. So what can I do? No? Yes.
All monks have to be celibate.
All monks have to be?
Celibate. We live like a bachelor, or some monks get married.
No, it's like this. In some of the cultures in Japan, I think they can get married. In Sri Lanka, the practice is you cannot get married. Yeah.
Is there a hierarchy in the, I'm not what to call it, the order of monks? You mentioned you have a teacher. In other religions, you know, there's one figurehead and then maybe you have different layers of...
There is a hierarchy. The hierarchy goes like this now. It doesn't matter their age. If you're a person, now if a person got ordained today, the persons who has been ordained before him are elders. So it depends on the time that you are in the monkhood. If you're a person who is in the monkhood longer than the other person, he is an elder. So that is how it works. Other than that, there are some tests that you can do now to go higher up in the chain. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question on who supports the monks? Like how do you make income to survive, to pay?
Okay, it's like this. Now, in this monastery, for food, everything is given by the people who listens to this message. there are like lots of people who listens to our message, what we're trying to preach. So these people, they give food, they give money and everything to survive. That is for this place. So when you go into the villages and stuff, in the other temples, the village itself, they provide to the temple. It is something which is based by the people. Donations, yeah.
Thank you.
What about the students that you mentioned at the beginning?
What about?
Students that you say you have 150?
Yeah, we have.
Is it children or adults?
Adults as in starting from 21 to 26, like that. Years of it.
Also by donation?
It is also by donation.
Do you give education via the internet?
Yes, internet and everything. We teach them IT, so internet is a necessity. So there are like 2 batches now. We have an IT faculty of 150 students and like another 50 students in music faculty. There's a music faculty as well. We're trying to like improve. We're trying to take another 500 student batch next year. So we are working on that as well these days. So the reason for us to make a university, to start a university, is not to teach them IT, is not to teach them music, but to teach them how to understand their own minds. That is the main reason of why we started a university. They can gather knowledge of IT by anywhere they go. There are lots of universities to gather IT knowledge. We give them certificates and all that you need in the IT sector as well. But the main point, the main reason that we started the campus is to educate themselves on how to understand their own mind, how to liberate your mind. That is the main reason why we started a campus. Any more questions? Yes.
Back to the original question.
Yeah.
So, if Buddhism is a philosophy, are Buddhists also members of other religions?
Yes.
What religion?
No, it is like this.
No, so are they Buddhist and Hindu, Buddhist and Catholic? Are they members of both?
No, it's like this now.
One or the other?
One or the other. For me, I'm a Buddhist to religion, to the society. But for my understanding, I know it is not just a religion, it is a philosophy as well. For me, I am also a Buddhist by religion. If someone asks what religion I am from, I am Buddhist. I am Buddhist. So, mostly, Buddhism is a religion. For people, majority of them, it is a religion. So, for society, my religion is Buddhism. But I know a secret. It is not just religion, it is a way of thinking. Do you have any more questions?
What would be the website to?
I'll provide you with the details, how to get connected.
Is this campus accredited? Like if a person goes to school and they get a diploma, certificate, is it a
Yes,
accredited organization or institution?
Like having a certificate?
Like accreditation, like higher education.
Yeah.
The diploma, they can try to go to a different part of the world.
Yes. They can show.
Accredited for their-
Yes.
Okay.
They can. It is like accepted from the government as well. So
I have a question. One thing I guess I'm struggling with in my head is what in my head is a fine line between understanding my expectations and understanding my mind and not letting myself get stressed out or angry or all of the above from my expectations. Seems like there's maybe a fine line in my head between having that state of mind and being kind of indifferent and not caring. And I'm struggling a little bit with,
I understand. So it's like this. Don't try to do anything differently here on after. When you have listened to a message, don't try to do anything. You just go on in your life the way that you have been living. Okay. Now, before you came here, if you are angry with someone who makes tea differently that you wanted, if you blame at that person, do the same thing after today as well. Live and behave the same way that you behaved before you came in. But once you go through your life, you will understand at the certain point, now, I was angry. What is the cause of my anger? Previously, you will point the finger at the person who made tea. But now you point your finger towards yourself. Okay, my expectations is the one that made me unhappy. So that is the only difference. Now, don't try to put fine line to it. When you are upset, when you're pressured, only then try to understand. When you're upset, there is no fine line to it. Your perspective is your fine line. That is why I said, the flavor of tea will differ from one another. For me, what is a fine line? For you, it is not the same line. For you, it is different.
I have a follow-on question. So if I'm hearing correctly, it sounds like, I guess where I was a little confused, it seems like the philosophy is more of how you deal with the situation after it's happened and understanding what's happened as opposed to trying to
Okay, it's like this.
change your behavior in advance or condition your behavior so that you don't react. It's more how you deal with it after you've reacted and letting it go after the fact.
It is like this now. Like I said, when going after, you do the same things that you did. Okay? Firstly, you will understand it after the incident has happened. Okay? Like when you go on in time, 2-3 times that happens, the time that you realize it will be shortened. It comes near the situation. After some time, you will feel even before the situation happens. I told you firstly to behave the way you would behave because you won't be able to pinpoint the exact moment why you and understand your expectation at that moment itself. You won't be able to do that after like then and there you won't be able to understand this. After some time goes on, you will understand then and there. When the incident happens itself, you will understand, okay, what is the reason for my pressure and anxiety? For an example, 1 + 1 is 2. That we don't remember, that we understand. By the understanding of these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can multiply, we can divide, we can do anything to these numbers because we understand the numbers. I don't try to remember 1 + 3 is 4. I know 1 + 3 is 4. So when you do 1 + 3 is 4, you automatically know what is 1 + 1, 1 + 2. You know those things. It is similar to that. When you apply that to one piece of situation, that application will happen in every situation in your life. Did you understand? You had a question, right?
Yes. So, okay. The understanding, the awareness, that's all so far very internal. What does Buddhism teach about how you, and I guess you could argue that once you achieve that or understand that, you're a more listening person, which does benefit
This society.
humans. But what does Buddhism tell you about or teach about helping other humans or being kind to other humans? Is that somewhere in the philosophy?
Yes, it is. Now, even after someone got enlightened, now let's say Buddha, even after he became enlightened, for an enlightened person, there is not a thing that he need to do. He is a person who has done it all. There is nothing for him to do. Even after becoming an enlightened person, they find the path in helping other people. That is always not only in Buddhism, in every religion, they talk about helping others. They talk about being kind to others. So that is something Buddhism also talks about. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So how did, and I forget his name, but before he became Buddha, when he was a prince, he became enlightened. Who decided he was enlightened? Did he decide?
Yes.
How was that? What was the evidence of his enlightenment?
Okay. It's like this now. Now, Gautama, his name is Gautama, before he got enlightened, he's Siddhartha. When he was living as a lay person, as a normal person who is a prince, he had 4 questions to himself. Okay? He had like 4 questions. Question number 1 is, everyone who is born dies. Is there another thing? Everyone who is healthy eventually becomes sick. Is there another answer to that? The third one is, everyone who is young, they eventually become old. Is there another answer for that? Every time we are with someone, every time we have a relationship with someone, there will always come a time where we have to detach from that person. Is there another answer than that? By the time he was 29, he understood the questions and he left in search of the spiritual life to get answers for those 4 questions. By the age of 35, found a different answer. The very time that he understood that he was enlightened, he was the one who understood it. Now that he was enlightened, he doesn't have to have guarantees from any other, because he understood by himself the 4 answers that he was looking for. Is there an answer greater than living and death? Yes, there is. Is there an answer for being aged? Yes, there is. Is there an answer for being health and being sick? Yes, there is. Is there an answer for being together or being detached from society? Is there an answer greater than that? Yes, there is. The answer comes within yourself. The answer comes by understanding. You don't really get aged. Your body will become aged, but your mind does not become aged. It doesn't go in a circle of aging. He understood that. The living and death happens not in the body, but inside the mind. When he understood that, he get another answer for it. So by himself, he understood that he is an enlightened person. Nobody have to give any guarantees to that. It is like this. Now, if I take for an example, this cup of water, this glass of water, I can drink this water. If you're a person who has not drinking water before, I can drink this water and say so many things about water. I can say this water makes my throat this sensation. I feel like the water is going through this path, and I can say so many things. But for you to understand, but you will never understand what it feels like. Right? I can say so many things. If after drinking water, I can say, okay, it tastes like this, it tastes like that. Say so many things, but you will never understand how it felt. For you to understand how this really feels, what you can do is you can drink water. Then only you will understand how water tastes like. What is the sensation that you will feel in your throat? You will understand that. So, for an enlightened person, he can say that he is enlightened. We can believe him or we can either not believe him. But that enlightened person will show you a way. He will show you a path. Okay, do this, understand this. Then you will become an enlightened person. You will also become like me. So what you can do is you can travel the path. That is what you can do. If that path works for you, then it works for you. Then you will drink the water. Then you will understand, okay, now this is what he was talking about. Does that make sense? I can say so many things about his enlightenment. I can say he understood by himself. What you can do is you can either believe me or you cannot believe me. But there's a way. There's a path. I can tell you, okay, put your hand like this, take the cup of water and drink it like this. I can tell you a path on how to drink water. By following that path, you will drink water and you will understand the same experience that I got by drinking water. No, I think that will be all, because if it goes on, it will be too much for you to grasp as well. You can find the YouTube channel which we have uploaded, these videos that we have done with crowds like you before. We have done so many of them. when your time permits, when you go back into your country, when your time permits, it doesn't matter. You don't have to like sit and watch. When you're driving, if you have a car, TV in your car, you have a record in your car, just put one on and just try to listen to it. Do not try to rush on it, because like 1 or 2 videos per month, that will be enough. If you do that, if you try to understand, there's nothing for you to do. There's nothing for you to actually do. We are not asking you to do certain things. No, this is all about understanding. You listen to it, you try to understand it. If you don't understand it, just let it go. There's nothing to do further than that. Just understand what I'm trying to talk about. If you do that from your own self, from your own experience, you will feel the bliss that I'm talking about. When time goes on, 2, 3 months, 4, 5 months, you will get the results for yourself. So when you go back, try to listen to those videos when time permits for you. So I bless you all, and I hope that you will understand this beautiful message and that you will live a peaceful life after you're leaving Sri Lanka. I hope Sri Lanka was a good experience for you. So I bless you all. And there's another thing now. The best cinnamon in the world grows near here. We also have cinnamon plantations here. So we have created a cup of tea for you, the cinnamon tea. Do not have any expectations towards how the tea should be. So, right? It is cinnamon tea, which is not, it is not added sugar. It is pure cinnamon. So you can have a taste of that as well. So it was nice meeting you all. So I bless you all for your future endeavors.